I was sitting in service one day and had been wrestling with kind of my life in general. And one of the messages was about just faith and the amount of faith that Abraham had to sacrifice his son Isaac. And it was at that moment, man, I just couldn't escape from me that this idea of God has called me to something greater, and ministry was it. And so I can remember going home that afternoon and just kind of not knowing how to process that. And went to work the next day and just felt like I needed to reach out to somebody from the church. So I actually found Scott Rogers' email.
He really just expressed this nudge from God that maybe ministry as a vocation was something for him. And so just wanted to hear him out, and he shared his heart. He wasn't sure, as is so many of us when we're thinking about taking that step. There's a lot of uncertainty and lacking of clarity. And really the one step I encouraged him to take was to start volunteering at the church. And I don't think he was at that point. And he pursued that, and he started volunteering in the children's ministry here at the Met.
And that really began in motion, kind of just this growth and this understanding of who God called me to be, and learning, kids' Bible stories, and kind of familiarizing myself with the character of God. And it was really through all of that created the opportunity for me to interview once a position came available for associate kids pastor. So they invited me in to interview for that, and actually hired me with zero Bible college, zero education to do that. But it was so cool how immersing myself into that and teaching them and being goofy was actually part of God developing me, I think, for the next stage in my journey.
Brad was fairly new in ministry, working with the kids and doing a great job there. And we really saw the principle from Acts chapter 6 to where this guy, Brad, was being raised up, and I could really see the Holy Spirit working in his life, and that Brad was wanting to learn and grow and to really walk in faith. And I remember going to Brad and talking with Matt and saying, hey, I really see God could do this in you, that you could lead this area in the church. And initially Brad was kind of unsure, and I don't know, but he did. He was willing to take those steps and to follow what God was doing in his life. And Brad really began to grow.
And so what I think is pretty cool is you fast forward several years later, and Brad's built an incredible team. He's helped us build a culture of shepherds. So it's not just him, but it's now many of the people that'll watch this video are small group leaders directly because of Brad's influence. They understand what it means to love people, to care, to shepherd, to walk alongside. And he's really helped us create that culture.
But I can remember that it was a particular moment when we, as a team, actually traveled to Germany to help these churches do a DS1. And man, I can just remember getting there and thinking to myself, I've never been overseas before like that, never been in a different country. And so I was kind of amazed by just everything around me. One morning I was out running along the Rhine River, and I was listening to music. And all I could remember at that moment is I heard God just say, Brad, I need you here. And I thought to myself, what? You need me here? And man, it was in that moment that I questioned that. I'm like, no, that's not God. That's not God. And as I continued to jog, I could also continue to hear him, Brad, I need you here. And that really set off a series of things that happened while I was there. One of the pastors that actually translated for me, that I'd spent 2 days with, looked at me and threw me a ball and said, you know what, Brad, I don't know why I feel like I need to tell you this, but you will be back here. And it was in that moment when I recalled that jogging and God going, I need you here. And then now here's this guy telling me that I will be back. And so again, I sat there to myself, I thought, okay, surely this is not real, this isn't true, but I allowed it to marinate. I began to share that with Matt and some of the leadership team, and just kind of said, I think God's calling us to Germany. And so, here we are. Marcus and Anna have gone back. I've actually begun to pave the way for maybe receiving our family there in July of 2021. As crazy as it sounds, there's a sense of awe that just has to happen in order for me to understand that this is really true. May I go back to the call of ministry and standing outside the county offices holding a box with my daughter standing there with no fear. No fear. And as I sit here and think about Germany, I can't say there's no fear. I'm actually in a very tough crisis of belief right now. I'm thinking, man, is this really true? And really, without understanding the awe of God, there's no way I could accept that God would call me and my family there.
When you take somebody that's willing to be faithful and they're also willing to be humble and say, I can learn, I can grow, I don't know everything, then God can take those two things and do something incredible with it. And that's what I've seen in Brad's life.
To watch him walk in faith, I don't think there's anything more beautiful in a person's life.
We're looking forward and anticipating what God can do through us as we begin to exercise and just share those things with those He wants us to.